Alright, folks. Welcome back, everyone. 皆さん、お帰りなさい。今日は322日目です。It is day 322. We are the day after our level 31 lesson day. Hopefully, we can get this accomplished relatively quickly. I don't want to flow into 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. to distribute the workload. Right, yeah. Yeah, because we want to start beforehand. Let's get right into it. No time like the present. Okay. Mud. Okay. 希望。性格。Okay. Hello there, Bree. Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Exceptional. Good. What's this, man? Okay. Hanken. Oh, and I'm doing pretty well today. A little bit on the tired side. Did something in the evening that took a relatively long time. We're working on it. Nest. 周年 Hoshi. Okay. What are you up to on this fine Sunday? Evening-ish. Fine. Terasu. Kowaremono. Geinoukai. Oops. Oh wait. Yes, performing or like performing arts or like ability. This needs oh no wait. What? This needs expansion. Geinoukai. Show business, probably. Okay. Not much, making some Anki cards, that's about it. Oh, okay. That sounds like a very chill time. Dakyo. Anything you're particularly making at the moment? Ganko. Oh no. What is this? Complete. Oh, perfect. Kanzen. We're kind of trying to finish our reviews today before in an hour.
才能
I know.
願望
Unbo. What? Shu? Or... Yeah. What? Yo? I thought it was yo. Video. Oh, because it's Finnish. So
完了
okay. Postbone. Oto. So kotsu? So kokaku.
骨格
Kokaku. Oh, skeleton. Making Anki cards to help distinguish between the conjugated verb. Oh, to spray and to spray at as a vegetable, asparagus. Oh, that's interesting. That's kind of cute. If you have DC notes on suggesting muting streamer mode mutes everything. So you don't have to worry about that. No worries. Discord's got it covered. Oh. It's you. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. Like, sometimes I would end stream to, like, hundreds of DMs. So, it would be really... It would drive... Not necessarily me insane. It'd probably drive everyone who thinks they get DMs insane. So, like, during the stream, you would hear the Discord sound, and everyone would look at their Discord. It used to be the same with stream. Or Steam. It used to be the same with Steam, where like whenever you hear the bleep sound, everyone like checks their Steam, but it's actually the streamer who didn't separate the program from the capture, so it was capturing their stream. Yeah, like I remember before that was the Skype noise. And then before that was the TeamSpeak noise. It went through many phases of like when you hear it's like and you check and like nothing happened. Oh, and there was that binging, like that binging default message noise like iOS and Android had too. Yeah, there are so many notification sounds, but I think Discord and Steam DMs is probably on the top of the list nowadays. Whenever you hear it, like I hear it sometimes. So sometimes content creators like YouTubers add those noises to elicit the same response. DC noise sounds in their videos to make people check their DC. Yeah, and that's how they like re-attentify the person. So re-engage the person. It breaks the cadence so that they stop being passive momentarily. So you can place the Discord and Steam noise here and there to cleverly re-engage the person because you're breaking their static attention and then making them readjust their attention again. So when your attention fades into passiveness, it becomes active momentarily again because it was a distraction. You didn't even know it could mean spray or sprinkle? Your original plan was just adding, oh, for asparagus. But when you were looking for example sentences, many used it as the verb, so you just decide, okie dokie, then you add both. I see. Interesting. Spray and asparagus. I wonder how that came about. That is one way of making people alert. An evil one. It's not subjective. It's more of an objective choice, right? We're talking about people who need to encourage engagement. Like, for example, I probably use the Discord voice and the Discord notification and Steam notification during lectures. If I were making lectures nowadays, I would probably use those noise to whenever an important topic comes up, I would probably use that noise. It's using what you know is true to your advantage. So like if I have a very, very important TLDR, I would probably frame it in a way that my students are more used to. That's, in my opinion, how I usually teach and make seminars. I know my audience and I make the seminar to best utilize those tendencies. Being out of touch makes you less efficacious when it comes to providing advice and, you know, teaching. If I'm paid to get performance out of students, then I would have to understand how the students pay attention and then how to use that. It does sound like it could be seen as evil, but it's also pragmatism. It could be also a means to an end. So on the student side, you could argue what's efficacious? Like it's effective. It's effective. So on the student side, they either hate you because you're not engaging, or they hate you because you're engaging. That's not something the teacher will control, in my opinion. I prefer to choose to be hated for being engaging than hated for being unengaging. So that's kind of the idea. Like I don't think of it as evil. I think of it as pragmatic. So if you want students to pay attention to you, you got to use tools that you understand that will get their attention. You can choose to be not pragmatic about it, and you can be subjective about it. This makes it evil and good and bad. It's like a teacher that says the students have to learn my way or the highway. That's evil and good that we're talking about, not pragmatic. So when the example that I made in notification, it was more of an example of a pragmatic choice. However, other people can use it for subjective intents, but I wouldn't pass up the opportunity. What's pragmatic? It's practical. Like it's free of emotions because you're trying to do a job. Like professionalism, or maybe like the Chinese culture. Like, I don't care if I don't like this job, I have to do this job because it's required of me. So instead of thinking of it as something I want or like, is something I have to do. And how do I do that? It's pragmatism in the sense that you're trying to suppress your emotions. Not that anything is purely pragmatic. It's the extent of subjectivity and pragmatism. So whenever someone says like, oh yeah, I don't really want to, like for example, you don't really want to drop this class, that's not pragmatic. If you're failing the class, you can drop it. So the last thing is pragmatic because it feels cold. It doesn't have any feelings involved. It has minimal feelings. The beforehand is being sympathetic and compassionate, or maybe attempting to be empathetic. So in a classroom environment, if I have to be pragmatic, if I have to be hated no matter what for doing something, I choose to be at least pragmatic about it. That means that I can achieve something despite having emotional things targeted towards me regardless of what I do. So like a student's going to hate class. So I choose to do pragmatic things to make them benefit from hating class, right? Like, if you hate being in class, the least I can do as a teacher is to teach you something even despite you hating it. That's it. Like, there are other approaches. You can have a teacher that tries to convince you not to hate class. That's not being pragmatic, because it involves addressing the student's feelings. That's subjective. It's compassionate. So if I understand that I have a no-win situation sympathetically, like emotionally, then I would definitely choose the pragmatic approach. So that's kind of a way to balance things. So I do, as a professional, that's what that separates professionalism from amateur. An amateur goes by their feelings nearly wholeheartedly because they can. A professional, when you have to get a job done, one way to get it done, regardless of your feelings, is being pragmatic. You have to get it done, and you got to do it with the best way you can, despite no matter what. People are gonna like dislike you or hate you or disagree with you. That's kind of like content creation. To me, professionalism can be seen in certain content creators, but it's not standardized in content creation. There isn't a guideline that says you can't express your opinion because you're contractually obligated to be politically correct or publicly agreeable. There is some moderation these days because it's becoming more of a standardized, pragmatic practice. Right? Standardization leads to pragmatism. You have to pass this test by getting a specific score. That's pragmatic. It doesn't care about your feelings. Right? If you got an A, that's an A. It doesn't care about your feelings. There's nothing caring. Viewer numbers, subscription numbers, they don't care about your feelings. Like, the number itself, the system and the number doesn't care about your feelings. The people behind those numbers could care about your feelings. So you can resonate with the people that exist, or you can focus on the numbers that don't give you any subjective feedback. It gives you pragmatic feedback. So data gives you pragmatic feedback. People give you compassionate and subjective feedback. And a lot of times, if only your grades improve based on how many tiers and how much stress the exam caused, exactly. Unfortunately, it doesn't, right? And that's what keeps everyone on a level playing field, right? Standardization is, in my opinion, the unfortunate consequence of being hyper emphasized in a weird way, in an uncontrolled way online. So how is that standardization happening? Statistics. Data and statistics have been used to not intentionally, no one's malicious about it. It has been used in a manner that now is no longer standardized. So there's no standardized practice on how to use data. So you can use data in any way possible to create emotional attacks with the data. It can be self-inflicted, and it can be between people. So like, you're not learning faster than the other person. That is subjectively interpreting data that has no feelings to impart feelings. But those things can be inappropriately used for one's health, right? Like, for example, how do you know you're doing well in Japanese learning? You can use all the data possible. What makes it hurts and makes it going to affect your decision is the subjective part. The pragmatic part is, if you're truly pragmatic, if you learned one kanji every single day, you improved. That is pragmatism. So if you're saying you're being pragmatic about it and you care about data and you like being objective, then one kanji is an improvement from yesterday. There's no feelings about it. It is one greater than yesterday. But if you're saying, oh, I'm not improving fast enough, or this seems hard, or my progress is slowing down and increasing in a feeling way, that's weaponizing, that's using data in the way you want it to use. For me, I usually use the data as a way to boost my motivation. Any data that demotivates me, I try to turn it into something positive. So that's using data. However, using data then becomes evil, easy, good, bad, useful, waste of time. That's the human response. That's what elevates data, the use of data. But where there's evil, there's good. Where there's bad, right? Oh, sorry, there's evil, there's good. Where there's a waste of time, there's value in it. That data doesn't offer. It's the human that makes the data that. So oftentimes when people tell me they're being objective and they say, oh man, this is slow. It's like, that's not objective. You could say 10 is slower than 11, but when you say you think that's slow, that's no longer objective. If you say you're learning 11 today and you learned 10 yesterday, 11 is greater than 10. So you can say that 11 is faster than 10, but you can't say that feels slow. Like, I should go faster. That is interpretation. And I think the internet does that without standardizing things. So there's no like handling of data well. How do you tell which part of a double bed sheet inside thingy is the top or bottom thing or the longer side bits? And they're square? I have no idea. I have no idea. What is a double bed sheet? I don't know what a double bed sheet is. Okay, I do have to keep moving because we gotta finish before 40 minutes is up. Yeah. I don't want this to overlap to the next review set. It's gonna extend it too long. So let's not remember what this is. This is like trouble. That's kind of ironic. I'm pretty sure this is with trouble. With trouble. Oh. Se. Kaku.
Sekkaku.
Kaku. Pretty sure it's like with trouble. Alright.
Rise.
That's a tricky one. Oh. We created a mnemonic for this, right? Sheep, scarce, towboat.
乏しい
Toboshi. You get so many cards first time. Oh yeah, because we did all the lessons. If that's what you mean. Like, because there's 80 lessons, 80, no matter what, we're guaranteed to have 80 on level up the next day. And then the rest, whatever overlaps with it. So we probably have like 2 units, 2 other units, and then the 80 from yesterday that we just learned. The 80 is probably the easiest one, are the easier ones, and then the old ones are probably a little bit sketch. 緊張する
緊張する
to be nervous, right? Oh, this one is different. Nozomi?
望み
Oh my gosh, no. That's a special one. Hang on, let me get rid of that bot. Okay. Okay.
Tsumu. Ninjin.
Ninjin. Osoraku.
おそらく
Osoraku. Osoraku. It's not quite fear. It's not quite fear. Fun fact today or not today? For context, you're only at your Akam night to Friday noon. To Sunday night to Friday noon. I love postponing things. I see. This is like fear of something, right? Naku, so probably. Heck. Sigh. Yeah. No. Good. Oh, accommodation. Oh, I see.
主催する
Kaimu Daijin. Yeah?
外務大臣
Oh, Kaimu Daijin. I said Kaimu. Kaimu Daijin. Double kun. There's a special double kun. How do I double kun you? What was it? Male push. Osuinu.
オス犬
Lots of poop. Iku. Zan. Nanse. Oh, danse.
男性
Unpacking then math? Solid. Go. Right. Good luck. Ket ball. Ket. Yeah. What? Oops. Ball.
欠乏
I gotta keep that in mind. What was this again? Not quite fear.
恐れ
基本
Oh.
格好
Cool. We're just gonna go with like personality or like nature, characteristic. What? Appearance? Okay. They're all subtly different. Yeah. Okay. Ibun? Lebun.
例文
Lebun. It's a writing sample. I mean, sentences is a writing sample too.
貧乏
Bimbo. Chire.
一例
Shibo. No? Shitsubo. Ne?
失望
Female obstruct.
迷わす
Because there's a second group of reviews that I'm going to push for tomorrow. I don't want to stack them. There's a review forecast on WaniKani. And oh no, I'm gonna make it. And what was it? Wolverine, construction, measuring, jeans. Inquire. Oh.
式
Ski. Is there a specific reason or is it user picked? It's a specific time. After completion. It's a specific time after completion. Okakusuru.
合格する
Okakusuru. No, it's not an hour. It's staggered. 4, 8, 16, 4, 8, 16, 32, something like that. So this would be the 4-hour reset. The next one would be like 8 hours or something. And then 16 and then 32. And then even further back, like 64. And then that's when it's burned and left out of the cycle. Bundle. Taba.
束
Taba.
例外
Okay. So when you're telling me, when you said that my schedule is never the same, it's always the same. And this is the reason why it's always the same. I have to adjust for the drift in WaniKani every 2 or 3 weeks. And we're adjusting to it. So that my stream schedule always stays the same. But the reviews don't always stay the same. Because WaniKani doesn't have user selected. So my period of activity is always the same, which includes streaming and my lessons.
壊れる
What did it? Osairu. Tatoeba? Oh my gosh, Tatoeba.
例えば
Is WaniKani, etc. strictly on stream? Yeah, everything is on. Everything about WaniKani and Hanzuhiro is on stream. Oh, that's Mawari.
周り
or like a cycle. Like one time around. How do you circumference? Okay. They're all the same. Same but different. Oh. Special.
初版
Okay. Oops. Has documenting everything been helpful? I document the things because I'm sharing it. I don't really think the act of documenting is something I have used yet. I work on things as I go. So looking back, we haven't really done much looking back in the sense of using the actual documentation. I document everything though. So like this isn't new. Whether it's streaming or not, I document everything. And when I mean document everything, I document the essence of everything, not the literal everything. Although this would be a good example of what makes this different. It's literally everything. Sort of. It's still sort of. It's technically 90% of everything. Because I can't account for all my thoughts.
女性
たやす
Let's see.
人
人
格
格 Why do you choose to make it all shared? Part of my it's the most literal way to demonstrate what it's like to problem solve and critically think and then practice communication. It's part of the
太
plan.
陽系
Are you okay? The short answer is because it's everything. It does the most things that I know all at once. Because I am more so the person to do 30 plus things at the same time, as opposed to trying to do one thing at a time. But in this day and age, people are more equipped to do one thing at a time really well, and then go to other things. So you want to start there. I tend to try to do one thing that involves as many things as possible. But you have to build up to that. You have to start with all the things, see how they're connected, and then try to do them together. So I started with Japanese, then I staggered to Chinese, and then I picked two things that are relatively similar in a way that I can stagger them together. So you build up, you start small. So I started with Duolingo. Yeah, good luck with math. Good luck with math. It's like something Tsukyo. Go Tsukyo? Go Tsukyo? This is graduation, right? That's a pivot. It's something Tsukyo. I forgot the first Art. What is? Sotsukyo. It's so.
卒業
Sotsukyo. It's graduation. Chi. Ishu. Ah.
一周
Ishu. One like cycle. Or one lap, sure. Same difference.
け
Iru.
伸びる
That's fine. It's good enough. Hanatsumeri. What? Hanatsumari. Oops. Oh no. Hanazumari.
鼻づまり
Hanazumari. Saisok.
催促する
Oh. This is resemble. Kun. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to do the 5 o'clock one. That's fine. Bone. Hone.
骨
Nosumu. Nozumu. What? Wish? Oh wait. Nuzumu. Nosumu. What? Hope. How to hope? Nozomu. Oh.
望む
Chikakai.
地下街
I just kept typing there. What was that about? How did this work? Exclude? What am I excluding? The right thing is something, right? Is it... what's happening in the building? Surplus buildings. So Joe. Not surplus buildings. It's surplus buildings, but we're asking Joe to exclude. Seibyo.
性病
Oh, STD. Makura.
枕
Oh, Makura. Right. Oh, you lost your calculator? Great start. Oh boy, calculator. Loaded.
恐れる
念願
Nenkan. Heart's desire. Oh. お願いします。
お願いします。
呼吸券。
航空券。
航空券。Oh, it's okay. 航空券。Yeah, I guess that's fair. 我が国。
我が国
Oh, right. 我が国。I hate on by default most of the time. Now, let's see. Ooh, what was it?
押す
Participate. You feel like in a four-way multiple choice question list, my answer sheet shouldn't be shouldn't be one. I'm shouldn't be what? To participate. Santa is doing something. No, like those are the options you think it is. I feel like in a four-way multiple choice question list, my answer sheet shouldn't be B for question 1, B for question 2. Feel like in a four-way multiple choice question list, my answer sheet shouldn't be. Oh, okay, I see. That sequence, I see.
マイル
Okay.
Gaming.
押す
能力。
思い詰める。
思い詰める
思い詰める。骨盤。Oh no. 骨折。
骨折。
Good. What is that? Oh god.
周期
周期。Cycle or period.
芸者。
Self-explanatory. にね。
日経
Oh. What? Say? Okay. Alright. Chopsticks, 貯める。
貯める。
What? Oh.
本能
Oh no. That's instinct. 体系的。
体系的。
Systematic. 見つめる。
見つめる
Or glare. It's fine.
出版。
To hold.
折る
No, kan. To become. Wait. Actually, that's not to become. That's to complete. Or that is become.
完成
Kansei. Just completion. All right. We got 15 minutes. That's pretty good. Yeah, this is where we're going to. These are our new characters from yesterday, right? We don't have to go over the radicals. I don't think I paused on them. Okay. Let's go over our stuff. So let's start with our definitions. This is day 2. Showy. Exceptional. Model. Obstruct. Exclude. Inquire. How many new characters and words are added, give or take, per day? The WaniKani only introduces new words or kanji every 5 days for me. It takes 5 iterations before they happen. So I can tell you per week. Roughly per week is this many. Or actually, I can only tell you per 10 days. So every 10 days is this many characters. And then words would be probably double this. In total is 100 items per level, and each level is every 10 days, 10 to 11 days. Oh no, wait, is it 100? 150 items, 140 to 150 items. Approximately 40 of them will be characters. So that means 40 characters, 100 vocabulary words, give or take some radicals. Yeah, so you have to clear characters before you can move on. You have to unlock the privilege of learning more. So you have to be consistent enough before you unlock. How much? However, I don't operate with mistakes, so I don't work on one-time guesses. So basically, it's every 5 instances. So that's roughly 11 days, 10 to 11 days. The second half, I need to unlock all of these to get the second half, which is the 6 remaining characters. It's easier to think of it as 40 characters every 10 days and 100 vocabulary words every 10 days. Kazuhiro does it differently. It's 20 lessons no matter what. Every single day you're learning 20 things. 7 characters and 13 vocabulary average every single day. And then the review averages 160, like 130 to 160-ish every single day. WaniKani is a staggered thing. So the lesson day is the highest. The day after is second highest, and it goes down until you level up, then it goes back up. So it looks more like a staircase most of the time, like this. Each level. And then Kazuhiro is just a flat line the whole time. The Hanzahiro, I can tell you that I learned 7 characters every single day and 13 words every single day. On average. Let's see. Sweep. Sweep. Mud. Bowl. Surprised. Sigh. Storehouse. Grandchild. Nest. Belt. Diameter. Rescue. Scatter. Outer. Veins. Veggies. Freight. Land. Resemble. Equal. Brave. Rich. Virtue. Search. Spy. Alright, let's do our mnemonic keyword here. Car. Go. On. Bowl. Oh, I paused on exclude. Was it because this thing's surplus? Joe. And jeans. Eagle cookies. Soul. Dog and road. Bowl. Kyoto. And soul. Sun. Two. I. Cake. Cucumber. Santa. Fun. Make. Cyborg. R. read and cookie. Yeah, read and cookie. Kan. Oh no, not kan. Ni. That was from yesterday. That was a weak point. King. Bobo. Fool. Goku. And Tater. Alright, so now let's do our read into our definition, right? So, ka, shoi, go, exception, han, model, bo, obstruct, jo, exclude, jin, inquire, cute, how much, soul, sweep, doro, mud, ball, hole, go, surprised, han, sai, soul, storehouse, son, grandchild, su, I think su is Nyomi, su, ness, I, belt, I think I is going to be an Onyomi, yes, okay, we're fine. Okay, diameter, Q, rescue, sun, scatter, kun, outer, MAKU, veins, sai, vegetables, ha, rates, riku, land, ni, resemble, in, equal, bo, grave, u, rich, toku, virtue, un, search, e, spy. Alright, managed with 2 minutes left over. And a bit of yap. Do you usually try to do this at the start? Yeah, this was yesterday too. We did it yesterday. This is my active recall period. So this is application. This is the minimal you can do when I learn something. So if lessons happen, I actively recall by the end of the session. But I do this at the end of every single session. And they change based on it. So the first 2 days, there's an active recall right after the encoding. And then the second days and third days, they're abbreviated. So I'm cutting steps out. So you do all of the steps. No matter what I learn, I'll always learn through every single step. And then as it extends further and further, I can choose where and what to use. So I go in many different directions all at once, and I have to do all of them. I have to be consistent at doing all the routines, going from definition to the mana keyword to the read. And then after 3 or 4 days, the active recall will be done differently, where I just do the read, know what the type of read it is, and then the definition. So I start with doing everything, and then start to do less as it becomes more consistent. It's never doing what is the easiest and then sticking with it. That means you can only this is called I typically refer to this as redundancy. So if you want to be consistent, you create as many redundancies as possible so that when you forget one thing, you don't forget it. You have another way to figure it out. And it's up to you how much time you want to learn redundancies. Redundancy is retention. So if you're really confident that you can retain something, you don't need a lot of redundancy. My breakup, right? My breakup is that I break it up between learning and practicing. So studying is a combination of learning and practicing. That's how I visualize it. Learning is when you get your exposure. And that is usually like 20% of the time. And then most of the time I'm practicing, which is output. 80% of the time. And when I'm practicing, much of it during this time would be active recall. As much active recall as I can, and that active recall is the lowest amount of application possible. Application is a form of output. And most people do the reverse. They spend more time learning and exposure and hope that their output comes out later. I do the opposite to demonstrate. So like exposure then doesn't do very much anymore. Exposure immediately goes into output. So things that I have to manage is volume. I manage learning volume. I know where my max is. My max is gauged by my accuracy. So if I can maintain above a 90% accuracy on the output, then I can increase volume. However, in WaniKani, I've already reached the max allowed. So that means I just do the max. My max, my theoretical max, the conceptual max, is greater because I know I do Hanzahiro too, and I still maintain a 90+%. So that means I can do way more than what WaniKani is showing, but I don't really have to rush it. I can do something else. So that's why we do Hanzahiro as well. And then if Hanzahiro isn't enough, then I can go do something else as well. So in the evening, I do other things. In the evening, I have energy to do all of these things. So I need to know where my theoretical max is, and then I don't work at max. I work at 80%. I rarely ever work at max, because if you're constantly working at max, any bad day will derail your progress, derail your motivation. So I find where my max is, and then I work at 80% of my max. And that 80% will then become 60% over time, and then I can increase my volume. So over time, when I'm improving my thing, my threshold goes up. If someone says, well, isn't WaniKani then capping your speed? It is. So then I do something else while I wait. I don't have to run at 100%. In fact, I would say if WaniKani gave me 50 characters every 2 days, I think I'm okay. The highest I would say right now for daily process is that if you combine both Hanzahiro and WaniKani and average WaniKani out, it is roughly 30 or 40 characters a day. But there's a really big asterisk to this. What I'm doing right now is 30 to 40 characters a day. However, Chinese and Japanese overlap with each other. So that actually means that even though it's technically 440 characters a day, what I learn in Chinese is going to reinforce what I learn in Japanese, because I connect all the things. I don't keep them separate. If you're gonna talk to someone who's not like me, like most people in my opinion that I've came across, they will see Chinese and Japanese as two separate things. So that means that they're learning 40 things. I don't see it learning as 40 things. I see it as learning like half of that, because I'm getting double exposure whenever I'm learning the same character in appearance for both. And mnemonics makes it so that I'm learning even less between the two. Like what I mean is I have to encode unique things even less. I'm reusing a lot of things. All my mnemonic systems, my active recall, my routines, I don't have to think about them anymore. I already do them. And then every so month, I add to it. So after practicing it for like a month or so, it's gonna get stale, so to speak. And to keep that staleness from happening, I add something else, because I'll get faster. Over time, you are supposed to get faster. Things are supposed to be easier, so then you can do more. Not you do more because you can do more when it becomes available. So this is one of the concepts of time management that I feel I'm gonna try to write an outline or a course about this, maybe something for fun. But time management, there's the internet way where you work at max all the time. That's not time management. This working at max is vibing. So if you're constantly working at max, any excuse will derail your routine, because you have no room to do anything, to change anything. You're already at max. I don't work at max. I determine the max first, work at 80%. I wait till this drops down from practicing. Eventually, this is not going to be 80%. It's going to be 60%, because I'm going to get better at doing it. When I gain 20%, then I'll add more. So I only add when I am able to, after getting better at what I'm already doing. I don't add because it's some sort of pace that you have to keep up. And WaniKani does this. That's one of the things that, if you're buying WaniKani, one thing that it doesn't do like Anki does is it actually removes quote-unquote features. And if you like that, it's trying to teach you something mandatory. This is what happens when structure is forced upon you. And if you are able to solve and work with a forced structure, it means that you're making something work. That's a different type of skill building than it is to find the most flexible tool in the tool shed and then choosing how to learn yourself. If you're choosing how to learn yourself, you're going to choose to learn the least. That's usually what happens when a human is given options. That is not something unique to adults or children, or it's unique to humans. You pick the path of least resistance when you're not forced to do anything. So if you pick a tool that has all the flexibility in the world and you haven't challenged yourself to test other things, then you will stick to the thing you do best. When you do that, then there's really no room for learning. There's only room for repetition. So Anki works really well if you need routine and scheduling. And that's removing the need to develop those skills. So whenever we talk about routine and scheduling, it's lacking because most of the things in your life is doing that for you. So when there's no routine and scheduling for your life things that don't have those tools, you can try finding one. That's an alternative, like find a life scheduler. I don't know who that is or what that is, I haven't came across it. If I do, I will probably suggest it to people who don't care or want that skill, right? It makes it easier. If only there was a vibe-based Anki. Anki is as vibe-based as routine is available. So Anki is the most full-featured, in my opinion, the most full-featured vibe. Because it does not force things upon you. The minimal thing that it's asking you is to do your reviews, and that's what makes Anki successful. It is teaching people to do something, or it's trying to anyway. It's trying to condition people to do something they don't want to learn to do themselves, which is to do your review, keep track of strengths, weaknesses, keep track of the frequency of your study. That's replacing the skill that most people find very, very difficult in the internet age. The internet age is you get what you want when you want it. When you want to watch a video, you get to watch it when you want to. When you watch a movie, it's available in its entirety. Like, it's not true for everything, but the idea is on the internet, you always get what you want when you want it. I grew up not that. I never, ever had that feeling that I always get what I want. The internet has made me feel the same way though. Like, I like the internet because I get to watch what I want when I want to, but it's already like too late, quote unquote, too late for me. I've learned that I can do things at precisely when something tells me to do because I can bend all my things around it. So if I get a job, it'll take me 1 day to adapt to the job because I can rearrange my schedule and meet the demands of something that isn't me. On the internet, it's always you. You are the main character. Everything's targeted to you, right? Your ads are targeted to you. The stuff you watch on YouTube is targeted to you. You get to choose what to watch on YouTube. In fact, most of the time when I watch YouTube, I watch it on an account that doesn't have an algorithm, like a personalized algorithm. I watch whatever is popular. Like, during a period in the day, I have an account that has no history logged in, and it's deactivated. And I look at the front page and I see what other people are seeing, not what I want to see, what other people are seeing. I do use a personal algorithm. You know, I didn't say I didn't. So this is probably one of the things that we always talk about. When I say I'm doing something, it doesn't mean the opposite is true. So when I say I use a anonymous one without an algorithm, I also have a personal account with a personal algorithm. But they're two different things. I'm doing something that people don't typically do on top of what you typically do. That's how you learn how to solve problems outside yourself. You need time and place. Yeah, black and white. No black and whites. It's grays. It's both. I do personal algorithm during a specific time, and I do non-specific algorithm in another time. That's how I learn to be on top of pop culture, or at least try to be on top of pop culture. So if someone starts talking about One Piece, I can at least talk about One Piece. Both. The answer is usually both. So if you ever ask me like, oh, so does that mean you never immerse? It's like, no, it means I immerse at a different time. The idea is you can't come up with solutions or problems if you never do them, or even see them, or entertain them, right? And most of those things will never be normal or easy or approachable because you have no exposure to them in the first place. And even after exposure, if you don't do them, then that exposure does not become a learning lesson, right? Truly, for the record, while I separate learning and practice, many people who are learning, I don't know, learning coaches or stuff, both of these things are required for what people consider as learning. However, what they consider as learning, they only do this learning. That's why I separated the two. I've watched a couple people brought up learning coaches or learning specialists, and I watched some of their videos, and their principle is that they're going to present their terminology based on what they believe is the accurate terminology. I'm using this terminology in order to demonstrate that while my terminology is different, this is what people are referring to. When they say what you're wanting to learn is learning plus practice. What people do, what they actually do is they learn. This learning, where you spend 80% of your time exposing yourself and you have no way of learning how to retain it. Practice is retention. Learning is acquisition. So if we're going to put it in terms of like popular words, these are what lines up. So when a language learner says this is the best way to learn a language, they really mean this is the best way to get exposure, high volume exposure, so that it leads to fast acquisition. Practice is how you remember things, in my opinion. And you're wondering, well, what if you just immerse and learn many ways through exposure? Yes, you can do that. It will still lead to acquisition, and it gives you a form of practice. So what are you practicing? It's not the exposure of the information that you're practicing. It's how many ways you are encoding the same information, like the same goal. That is still practicing, in my opinion, because you're exercising connecting multiple things to the same thing. It's a similar concept, but you're embellishing the same concept. So when you're immersing, you can see food, like a specific food, like ninjin, for example. Ninjin. Well, there's ninjin cake, a cakey, right? There's ninjin. I don't know what 饮料 is. 饮料是 drink, 飲み物. Yeah, 飲み物, right? So you can see carrot in many different contexts. That's practicing, not learning. You're still trying to learn carrot. All those other versions are different practice versions of carrot. You're trying to look for that one information and encode it. So whenever someone says acquisition based on exposure, that's kind of what they mean. They're trying to get you to make the exposure a form of practice. And that's where I agree, if that's what people are describing. But oftentimes when people think of immersion, when they think about Anki, they're thinking about exposure only, not the practice. So they sideline practice. Like, what I mean is, what does Anki do most of the time? It tries to minimize practice. And I totally get it. If you're doing the same thing, you want to minimize it. But who said you have to do the same thing? So that's what I did. In WaniKani, I don't do the same thing for every exposure. I do something different for the active recall every time I have to recall it. The idea is I'm increasing the amount of ways I can remember a piece of information. So then you see all this text here. I can remember it based on most of these things. The more I can do, the more likely I'll remember it. And the more time it takes, though. So delta T goes up. I only add more when I have time to add more. So I can't add more to this until I can do it fast enough and efficiently enough to be able to do more. So this is what I have settled on after 300 days. I can do all of this in the same amount of time since day one. I spent less time. In day one, this day, the day after the lesson, it would take around 3 to 4 hours doing none of this. It would be sitting here trying to figure out which the characters are. That would be my first. Actually, the first couple of days, I didn't do any of it. I looked at the characters. I barely looked at the characters. I did the lessons and then I call it a day. Now I do all of this stuff in a fraction of the time. If not, or like at least I spent 25% of my time doing exactly what I did in day one. But the other 75%, I do all of this. The thing that I'm yapping about right now, I do this on top of everything. Like, before, I also did the yapping thing too. But now I do this and study Japanese and do everything else. So, when I get better at something, I get more time to add to it. I don't work at max. Rarely do I ever work at max. I think that's one of the most consistent time management problems. Time management requires that you understand you also make time for unexpected things. You're not concerned about what that unexpected thing is. You make time for it. You figure out, do I enjoy yapping? Yeah, it's the main reason I'm streaming. And I use the word yapping, but really the most important things about all this stream is the yapping part. This is the most important thing. I'm sorry to people who think Japanese is the most important thing, or the content. Content is not the most important thing. It's the learning lesson. If I am not learning something, it's not important. Japanese is fine, like it's interesting. It's largely static over my lifetime. Maybe it'll change a little bit here and there as a natural language, but learning is for life. So the thing I'm yapping about is the thing I practice the most. All these topics, every single day in and day out. Time management, day in and day out. This is what I'm trying to improve, and it takes an astronomical amount of more time because it's my specialty, at least in my opinion. If I have any specialty, it's this, and it takes increasingly more time than ever because remember that when you're in a specialty, growth is kind of like this. So I spend most of my time learning new skills. However, the skill that I use the most is in yapping, and yapping is out here. So you need lots and lots of time and investment and practice to get a small improvement, right? Small improvement in delta. Meanwhile, I use all of this and adapt to a new skill. Learning Japanese is one of them. Like, in a matter of 300 days, I've maybe learned quite a lot in the beginning, and then eventually it's going to taper off because, relatively speaking, the volume becomes less and less significant relative to the starting position. This is for this is a mental image, like a mental perspective. If you think that progress is going to feel like leaps and bounds as you get better at something, that is simply not true. Like, there's very rarely any realities that will make it feel like it's going to be less and less. It's not going to be less and less. That's a double negative. It's going to feel less and less significant later down the road. Like, if you're using the same metrics, right? Like, if you're evaluating the same metrics and you never change your mindset, it's gonna feel less. When you know 1,000 kanji, learning 10 becomes less significant than when you know 0. kanji. So your metrics have to change. And using a graph like this allows one to navigate how to find value in specialization. Yapping is my value in specialization. I get to use it every single day. I get to practice and adapt it to new things every single day. Whenever someone asks me a question, I get to use it. I get to find how I challenge my specialty. I don't often have a desire to sit there and pretend that my favorite skill is not worth investing, right? So yapping it's an enjoyment because I invested a lot of time in it. It's not an enjoyment because I enjoyed it intrinsically. The question you asked, do I enjoy yapping? You're asking it in a manner that would suggest that there are people who like yapping and there are people who don't like yapping. Like enjoying it in the sense of they enjoy it, so that's why they do it. It's the other way around. When I was younger, I don't say much. I actually didn't say anything most of the time. In fact, I could go through an entire semester with people not hearing me say anything because some of the classes participation was not mandatory. At some point though, in college, participation was mandatory. And that's when it changed. I enjoy things because I spent a lot of time on them. Most of the skills I have today that I do well, time management and all of that, is because I worked on it. That's the true enjoyment. Are you the sort to enjoy writing long text to people, essays, and explanations? I learned to find it useful. And because it is useful, it is enjoyable. I would say the vast majority of things I enjoy now is because I spent a lot of time working on it. Because my life asked and demanded or gave me opportunities to do that. I think nowadays the internet does the opposite to young people. They find something they enjoy and hyper-focus on that and can no longer adapt to anything else. So they only do things they enjoy and fail to develop skills, problem-solving skills, and critical thinking skills to adapt to things they don't enjoy and have to do, like pragmatic things. And without those things, you can't develop an ability to solve problems and critically think about how to do something when it has to be done, not because you want it to be done. And that's like, you know, passing a exam of which you disagree with. You don't know the value of the exam because you don't enjoy it. That's not true for me. I know there is value because someone is teaching it. It is valuable to them. When someone tells me French is exciting language, I believe them. And if I have time, I can enjoy French the way that person does because I'm trying to learn something. I don't say, oh, I'm not interested in French, therefore it doesn't matter to me. How can people improve at problem solving and all that? French is an exciting language. Yes, Brie. You know it. You know it. How can people improve at problem solving and all that? You have to do things that presents problems. I know that sounds reductive, but start with small problems. Or what you think are small problems. They have to be solvable. They have to be characterizable, right? So the first step in, you know, the scientific method is to identify a problem. And I don't mean by acknowledging that there is a problem. You have to identify and characterize it. And then you start working on it. When you're in a depressive state, and you feel like you never know what to do, it's good to be able to identify a problem you can solve, or you can think you can solve, so that you can get a W. It's definitely very important to know that taking too many L's can destroy someone's self-esteem and confidence. So having things that you can get a W and an L, like having both of them allows you to compare and contrast. And if you're vibing along the way, you can vibe problem solving through experience. Vibe is experience dependent. It's not conceptually dependent. So this is another dissonance that I have a problem with right now online. If you want to vibe, you need experience. But instead, most vibers are encouraged to do concept and analytics and like predictions, systems works. To me, you can still learn to do that. However, it's inherently going to contradict what vibing is. Vibing is dependent on XP, right? Exposure, intuition, intrinsic chaos. So you can still be incredibly problem solving. You can encourage yourself to problem solve as a viber. Go and pick an experience that will expose you to solving the problem. If you're talking to me, right? If you're talking to me, I'm not quite a viber. I don't prefer to vibe. I'll vibe with other people, but I personally do not vibe. I work on concepts, analytics, prediction, and systems work. So I'm not contradicting myself. Like what I mean is I'm not doing things that inherently will cause me to excuse myself from enjoying it, having fun. Systems work. This stuff makes me happy. Vibers, this stuff will drive them insane. Because all of this stuff is a waste of time. Why do you need to know all this and conceptualize all this and do all this if you can simply do it and then learn from it, right? That is XP. So for the longest time, whenever someone says this is the best way to do something, that's a viber. And what you do is you encourage them to keep on seeking the best thing. Like keep on encouraging them to do those things because their intuition can provide problem solving skills and critical thinking skills. It's a different way of acquiring problem solving skills and critical thinking. You're not gaining any critical thinking skills and problem solving if you're a viber and you're having trouble conceptualizing. Like if you're not here, if you don't think any of the things I'm saying are very interesting, it sounds like a waste of time, then conceptually you can either work on it as an experience or you go and get experience. And in my opinion, if that is your strength, it'll probably show itself. Because you will feel out most of these things. At least in my opinion. And here's the catch. Here's the trap here. I do both. I don't do one or the other. I have a preference. I have a preference for one. Like I lean towards analytics. That doesn't mean I don't do both. You're a human being. You should be able to do both. So the answer often is try to do a little of everything so that you actually know what your options are. And if you have time, I was gonna say someone walked in. If you have time, leave room for exploration, but definitely focus on what brings you enjoyment and stuff, obviously. So you can still do what you want. The idea is if you don't leave room for exploration, then yeah, you are stuck with the tools you have. If you do not engage in problem solving, then you can only solve the problems that currently exist, like the problems you have already solved. So fingers crossed, if you're inexperience and you solved maybe like 18 years worth of problems, you hope that the next 60 years of your life, roughly speaking, will never bring new problems. If they bring new problems, then you're kind of going to have to do it. You know, you're gonna have to work on a new problem solving skill, right? You sort of look forward to the French streams despite not liking your personal experience. Liking from personal experience with it, you think seeing a new perspective on your experience may make you realize if that makes sense. That's fair. Yeah, so the Spanish and French thing is gonna have to come together at once. And Bree is on the other side waiting for that French. Bree does a lot of French things. She's actually working on Anki cards at the moment, so no big coincidence there. How do you get more W's in Anki reviews and while adding cards? I want to find it more fun and less like you suck, which I do, but you find my yapping sessions worthwhile to listen to. I like to think the yapping sessions should be worthwhile if I'm talking to the person. If it's not worthwhile, then I need to work on it. Yeah, so it's good to know that it's worthwhile. If I'm yapping and it's not worthwhile to the person I'm intending to talk to, then I have some... It would be a feedback that I would have to take to heart. Because that's the skill that I think I do well. For the W's in Anki reviews, well, you got lots of W's. What is a W in Anki? Doing your reviews. That's a time management W. If you finish the reviews, that's a W. You get one every day. You're supposed to get one every day anyways. That's how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to provide you with the satisfaction of getting a W every day. Yeah. I can share with you how it's different for me. Like for example, WaniKani, my W takes a year and a half. I don't see anything else as W's at the moment. My W's are as delayed as possible. I do not derive the same satisfaction from instant gratification. In fact, I think instant gratification for me is really cheap and available in a pinch, but I rarely use instant gratification to help me feel happy during the day. Like, I don't need to buy an instant gratification. I don't need to watch cat videos to make myself momentarily happy. I'm already consistently happy. So the idea is that I wait and I work towards something big. The 100-day review is a form of delayed gratification. So every 100 days, I record a 5 to 6 hour piece on everything that I've learned and I piled and compiled for the last 100 days. And then that is that's my delayed gratification. That's the reward for working. These day in and day out, they barely tip my fancy. Like, this might form the basis of people's motivation. This is where you start though, right? Most people start here. They start at instant gratification to keep moving. And then you can build yourself up for delayed gratification. That's how I am approaching most things when I'm talking to what most people dislike about what I say. That's what I think young people do. And they also intrinsically do until they become older. Time dilates when you get older. Things that look like they were short are long. And things that feel like a short time or a long time, they change when life gets longer, when you have more experiences. So for now, I think this does really well. Instant gratification does so well that it is addicting, right? It locks younger people, inexperienced people, like mentally, not biologically, but usually biologically correlates. It locks you into a state in which you can't grow. My most, I got some satisfaction, but arguably some of my most satisfying things is knowing that I've been a friend for someone for 15 years. Like, it's not even getting a PhD after 7 grueling years. That was a drop in the bucket. Like, those are delay gratification situations. The obvious solution to increase the W count is, of course, to finish decks, but you've been struggling with your consistency lately, as you may have guessed, seeing your numbers of blue-red. Yeah. You can make more decks. That's a W. Every time you make one card, it's a W, right? Or make the cards that you want to make. Do you think instant fast gratification is bad? No. The answer is both. Again. Like, if you have an overrepresentation of instant gratification, then... Like, and what I mean by both, I mean instant and long. An imbalance is an imbalance. And it's only bad when it can't provide the solutions for everything. Right? It goes back to problem solving and critical thinking. If instant gratification can't solve it, everything is gray because you're asking if it's bad or good. It's bad when it can't solve all your problems. It's good when it can. So instant gratification can solve most of young people's problems until it can't. When can't instant gratification solve? Having a job for 5 years. It's not going to be sufficient. Spending 10 years learning Japanese, it's not going to be sufficient. So it's only bad when there's a problem. That's something I can say with absolute certainty. So it's not about whether you need something, you want something, what is the secret sauce. It's bad when you can't solve the problem. So if you only have instant gratification and it's not good enough to have not a problem with it, then it's bad. Or like, because you have a problem with it. If you don't have a problem with it, then it's fine. It's not bad, right? But is it good? You can also ask, so is delay gratification good? I would say it's good if you know that you have a use for it. So that's a way to frame things. Something is good when you have a use for it. It's a waste of time. It's like meh, it's not good because it doesn't offer any benefits. It's not bad, it's just not good when you have no use for it. So delay gratification is something that's absent. So when something is absent, you actually don't know if it's good or bad. It's neither good nor bad. So it's not even gray. It's moot. It's not just gray. It's neither. It's a void. So if you don't have options and don't have solutions that you can see, those things are neither bad nor good because you don't know. You actually really don't know. So if you ask me if instant gratification is bad, you're going to try to avoid it. That's not the point. Because you're using it already. You have to understand how it's useful and how it's not useful for you. Like, what is about instant gratification that makes it either bad for you or good for you? And what can you do to make it less bad, more good? And one way is to use delay gratification. Like, you delay your gratification. There's also timing. You can time instant gratification. So I time my instant gratifications because they're instant. I can use it whenever. What's a form of instant gratification? I play 15 minutes of Persona 5 every day for maintenance. I have live service games. I spend 30 minutes playing Neverwinter Online, 15 minutes on Persona 5, and about 30 minutes on Hearthstone. Those are instant gratification to me. Like within 30 minutes, that's very instant. So I use it when I need to. Delayed gratification requires a lot of planning. It requires a routine in which you work and you never see the reward until you get there. That's probably the major struggle with people who are language learning, because if you're gonna prescribe to learning through exposure, then instant gratification is bad. Because eventually you're not going to have instant gratification. It's not going to be sufficient, right? When you're learning the intricacies of a language, instant gratification is going to fade away, and all you have is 4 or 5 years of Japanese to look forward to in order to even start speaking to people comfortably. And you might be thinking, nah, you can get fluent in a year. Instant gratification. That's almost instant compared to a lifetime committed to learning a language. Like a lifetime compared to instant to thinking that you'll become fluent in like 6 months, that's practically instant. It's trying to convert something that takes many years into something that's palpable for someone. And businesses and gurus sell and target people who rely on instant gratification. And that is the internet hustle culture. I can more easily sell someone that it takes 1 month to learn how to do time management than sell them that say, this is something you're going to have to subscribe to my service for the next 10 years in order to develop it. You can kind of spin the delay gratification as a business model too. But the idea is instant gratification, cheap, accessible, immediate. And it's fundamentally different from delay gratification. Pretty much most of the skills we talked about, Mika, like that I'm introducing, they all revolve around delay gratification. And delay gratification is the fuel for these things. Routine, due diligence, systems work. You don't see the fruits of your labor until later. When you're working on a system, you'll never see if it works or not work until later. You develop something, you troubleshoot it, and you keep working on it until you actually see a result. It's consistently going to guarantee to provide a result, but you'll never see it until you actually do it long enough. Instant gratification means you know you're going to do it. Like, even here's a really big twist. I'll give you an even bigger twist. How can you tell someone likes instant gratification, but they can conceptually understand that something takes a long time? They will want to know for sure that it's going to work when they start. That is someone who understands the concept that things take a long time, but they want guarantees right now that it'll work, because they need the guarantee, the feeling of being guaranteed, in order to do that thing right now. So if someone encourages you and say, oh, don't worry, in 6 years, you'll thank me. In 6 years, tomorrow, you'll feel it. You'll continue to believe that it's gonna work. Delay gratification is like, it'll work, but you don't know how well it's gonna work. It might actually not work in the way you think. All of that is rewarding. You're doing something. It's gonna lead to a reward, but you're not concerned about whether it works the way you expected. Everything that's instant means that the instant you have, the experience you have, you hope that it'll happen later. To me, that is preposterous. Like, are you telling me that you want to work 6 years and you want to be rewarded the way you are now? That to me is so absurd. It almost feels like it's incredibly disappointing. Like, I will, no matter what, if I work on something, it will be more rewarding later than it is now that I can understand. I can never anticipate how much more reward I will get because I will be growing when I get there. By the time I get there in 6 years, it's nowhere gonna be the concept that I had when I started it. I mean, some people are very stubborn, so you could do that. Why is that absurd? 6 years an everyday topic in case you moved on? No, it's 6 years you're learning something, so the topic changes and warps and changes at when you get there, wherever there is. Unless you're telling me why, if you're questioning that it's not absurd, so you're telling me it's not absurd that people don't learn along the way. That to me is someone who only think of the instance they decided to do the task. That means you're not going to learn anything along the way that will change your goal, the perception of what it is, the value. If you think that way, in my opinion, there's no learning along the way. Like, you could tell yourself, in 6 years, I want to make this movie. This movie is exactly what I wanted. It will never change. I want this movie to be exactly how it is right now in 6 years. Then, yes, it's slightly not absurd. I don't, in my opinion, I don't think like that. Someone else can. Like, you can ask someone else and ask them when they go out to do something, does it turn out exactly what they liked, or did it turn out better? Generally speaking, it's absurd to me because it generally turns out better than they originally thought. That is what delayed gratification is offering. Instant gratification mindset, it doesn't change. It always has the same value. So when you say, oh, in 1 year, I'm gonna take an exam, you can only get an experience as good as taking the exam and passing it. When I go out to prepare for an exam, I'm aiming way beyond that exam. And then even then, as I'm learning, my aim goes even beyond that. I don't settle for the original idea that I'm working on, because I'm going to learn and grow during that period. So when you start on Anki, would it be good to celebrate consistent milestones? Yeah, of course. You have to keep yourself going sufficiently for the delayed gratification. Right? You combine the two. It's very functional. So you have little goals that keep you going, and then you have bigger goals that you keep improving upon. So when the first goal that you have, like when you start, right? The first goal that you have will end up being one of those consistency milestones. You continue largely from fear of failure. Yeah, because you only see failure before you start. Like, where there's fear of failure, there's also hope for success. But instead, you mentioned fear of failure as opposed to hope for success. They both exist at the same time. Whenever I say, oh, you have a fear of failure, you would counter argue and say, well, it's still savable. That's hope. So you actually can make the conceptual counter argument, but you only behave in one way. That's how I wanted to tell you. Like, you can conceptually understand a counter argument, but you don't behave like you believe in those concepts. You have to experience those concepts to get it. And I did too. Like, what is concept now is also experience. Then I both fear failure and hope for success. there's one thing that I could internalize very, very well, a fear of failure, is growing up in a Chinese household. I talked about this before. One of the secret sauces to, quote unquote, the myth of Asian superiority is the fear of failure. That is what drives like Japanese, Chinese, Korean culture. It's face culture. The fear of failure is the strongest, is one of the very strong aspect. However, growing up in the United States, I also have been introduced to other perspectives. So I can channel my fear of failure with a hope for success. So that's what the dream situation is, you know, the dream, the American dream sort of situation, right? B for below average and family members comparison childhood. No, it's more like A minus is an Asian F. That's more appropriate in this, at least in my opinion. That's more appropriate and meme here. A minus is an Asian F. And an A plus is you can do better. Like, we're really talking about like Asian stereotypes. If you fear failure, you're always not good enough as well. That's a fear too. In fact, I would say fear of failure is singular in nature. Fear of disappointments is ever present. You're always going to disappoint. You can always do better. A plus can do better, yes. That's... If you get an A plus, your parents are going to ask you, can you do better than that? And you can. You can get an A plus plus. At least in my high school, you can get an A plus plus. In fact, the top 33% of my student body has above 100%, including myself. Because it's normalized to an average. So things can be weighted. And when it's weighted, you can go beyond A plus. I don't remember what my GPA was. I mean, they all round out to 4.0, but I think it was like 104% or something. And that placed me at the top like 50, not even in the top 10. Like the first, like 33% of my class had above 100%. So you don't have to be Asian to do that. You can also have privilege, practice, half starts. I started 2.5 years behind in the system that I'm describing. So getting to the top 50 is a W. Yeah, because it's normalized. Yep, it's called weighted averages. Weighted averages is how you get above 100%. You can also do normalization to the top score, then you don't have percentages higher than 100%. But a weighted average will take you above 100%. Other schools, other systems, what they do is sometimes they would take the highest score and then use that as the top score and then weigh all the other ones relative to the top score. So then it will always be set at 100% and lower. The other way is you take the average and you weigh it up and down based on your performance. So then there are people who could excel past 100% relative to the average. So there are different ways to represent it, right? So when I said A plus can do better, yeah, you could in high school. In my high school, you could do better than an A plus. The scales are relative. A, B, C's, and D's are relative. They're relative scales. They're not absolute scales. Or at least in different school systems, they're not relatives. In fact, I know of a school system who is a private academy, and they have the most impressive students, and it's on a pass or fail. They don't even have numbers. It's on a pass or fail. How you think they evaluate them? Every single student is individually evaluated based on their abilities and aptitude. Every single one of their tasks is task-based assessment. So basically, they're already doing adult grading in as a child because they have the privilege to do so. It's possible because the ratio is low. There's an evaluator that's capable of evaluating them at every step of the way. When you're in public school, it would be very, very impractical. So the opposite of pragmatic. It would be very impractical to have one teacher have the time to like measure individually and assess and follow a student when there are 40 students in the class or even hundreds of students. In a privileged standpoint, you can have different ways to evaluate students. Homeschooling is another one. Homeschooling is an individual-based evaluation, so it has no standardization. Basically, you could give your child a 300% if you want. They're homeschooled. There's no relative basis for the comparison. So whenever you say A+ can do better, the joke here is that compared to what? There's no standardization, and until you understand the standardization, you know what A+ means. So you know what a W is, so going back with W's and losses. To get a W, you need to standardize something. Do you have enough experiences and routine to do something in order to assess if it's an improvement or an L? WaniKani does that for you. Anki does that for you. They keep track of a relative standard, and then you know that no matter how you feel, right? When you interpret the data, when you know how you feel, like, are you improving? Are you doing something? Data does not account for your feelings. If you did less review than today than yesterday, you did less review. That is helping you with your objectivity. How you feel about it is up to you. It is the power of your mind. So most of the time I'm focusing on that end. How to use data to help you understand about how to keep you regular, learning, motivated and whatnot. Data comes easy, in my opinion. Data is the least thing you can do because it is legitimately thrown at your face. Whenever you say, how do I learn Japanese? Oh, that's easy. Learn 3,000 kanji. That's data. Like, oh, okay. How do I do that? Now it's up to you. You can go to a person and say, how do I learn Japanese? Okay, just buy my 6-month program for $60. That is not learning anything. That is the easiest thing you can do because you didn't think about it. You took the information and you assumed. To me, that's where we start. I think when I am approached with a problem, when people talk about problems, that's where we start. And that's a good place to start. Like, that's a reasonable place to start. And with experience, you're gonna say things like, when you learn Japanese for 4 years or something, and you look back, it's like, oh yeah, now I remember. Like, I didn't know enough to know how useful that was gonna be for me. But now I do, because I have 4 years of experience. So understanding that feeling, maybe when you get older and have more experience with certain things, it'll be a little bit more relatable. Like, it'll be more relatable what I mean by delayed gratification. When you're if you're still a teenager or you're in your early 20s, it's very difficult to literally know what delayed gratification is because you have limited amount of time that you've been alive, and that perspective can be developed as you're going. So when I say I do this, remember that contextually I'm 38 years old. I've dedicated 2/3 of my life to a singular task of being an educator. So that's longer than 90% of people that I talk to. That is almost 20 to 30% longer than they have been alive. So in no way, and I've said this to you, Mika, already, in no way do I think that challenging someone to do the impossible is reasonable. So instead, we focus on what we can do. That's what I said like the last 2 days, right? Or 3 days. You focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. You can't suddenly gain 30 years of life experience. That's not going to happen. But what you can do now is start gaining those experiences, right? You're not going to be a conceptual, abstract, analytical person tomorrow. You can start now and work on it, and it could reveal something in the future. While you continue to watch TikTok and stuff, you can still do both. The idea is you have to start somewhere, and a short life it makes that impossible. Like, the short time you've been alive, do not, in my opinion, try not to place that onerous on you when you have no control over it. And I think that's the root part of most younger people. The internet convinces you that your future is certain, and you only make decisions because it's certain. You need to make sure it's certain. There's an example for everyone to resonate with. Like, if someone saw me and they're like 14 years old, and the things I say is exactly what they're feeling right now, and their thought is, I'm gonna be like him in 30 years, so maybe I should listen to him and then change it so that I don't end up or be better than him in 30 years. That's what the internet does. It gives you all the data, but none of the experience. And I can only communicate all my experiences, but I can't transfer any of my experience to you. You have to actually do those things to gain the experience. So while it feels very normal to start things knowing that someone else was successful in some vision, the odds are you're aiming for more. At least you're going to aim for more. You're not going to even be able to contemplate and fathom what you're going to be like when you follow someone's advice, even to the T. So being hopeful for success, or being hopeful for turning out to be better, is equivalent to fearing that you don't end up being what you're going to go. Like, where you're picturing. Like, what is success to me when I was a teenager? Becoming a doctor. Did I become a doctor? I didn't. Actually, I kind of sort of became a doctor, but not that doctor. Right. So, the short time alive disadvantage, yeah. And also, since when was my birthday? I mean, since when was my birthday? It's March 4th. 1987. 38 years ago. Alright, you're gonna go do your DM yapping and get some rest and enjoy the rest of your... Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully it gets better, I suppose. And always feel free to, hit the DMs. I can answer them at any time. It really doesn't take that long. Oh, when we met, you said 37, so hence asked. When we met, you said 38. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, earlier this year, I turned 38. I'm about to turn 39, actually, because I'm born in the first half of the year. Anyways. Yeah, that's a good way to yap near the end. I yap at the end of each session, or there's a chance to yap unprovoked the end of each session. All right, folks. That's a wrap for WaniKani today. If you're gonna watch this later, arigatou gozaimasu. Right, as always, feel free to follow along, pick up WaniKani for yourself, give it a try. Let me know what you think. You're always welcome to yap, exchange ideas, ask questions, brainstorm, come up with new ideas, counter argue. Sure, provide me with a strong counter argument. I would love to entertain that idea. You're always welcome. So for those who are only interested in WaniKani, minasan mata ne. Mite kurete arigatou. Right? Thanks for watching. As a January birthday person, you understand your experience. Oh yeah, you're about to. All right. First quarter Q1 birthday peeps. It's soon, but not before Christmas. So we'll try to be a holiday spirity in some way. All right, folks. I'm gonna get up, stretch, walk around a little bit, stare out the window, answer some meaning of life preponderance, and then I'll be back for Hanzahiro. Thank you.